Welcome back. We're here discussing the university's response to COVID and how that has fared. And joining me is Barry Cooper. He's a professor of political science at the University of Calgary. Barry, it went from lockdown to kind of masking, and then from masking, very quickly, things went into vaccine mandates. How were vaccine mandates ushered in your experience?
Well, in that article, I call them vaxes rather than vaccines because the mRNA genetic experiments, I don't know quite what to call them, were not the kind of vaccinations that I got when I was a kid. Um, they were initially it was just suggested, then it was strongly suggested that we all get vaxxed. Then we were exhorted almost interminably, like every day. And then late in the summer of 2021, we were told everybody had to be vaxxed by New Year's Day 2022. And that meant the students couldn't come on campus, they couldn't register, and the professors wouldn't get paid. That, if that's not coercion, I don't know what is. And as I said in that paper, I wasn't the only person to say this. Of course, there was a guy in the med school actually who, or the Children's Hospital, who pointed this out. It is impossible for anyone in the whole world to give informed consent to being vaxxed because there is insufficient information that you could say I am informed. You certainly could get enough information to know not to be vaxxed, but you couldn't get enough information to be vaxxed because these things were developed so quickly and so soon, and the data just wasn't there.
Now, you said this very poignant line in your paper that you submitted. Again, this is a recent journal entry you did for the C2C journal. You said by July 2021, a new source of anxiety had come into existence, not being locked out, but returning to campus. And I remember that because this was 1 year ago in the summer. And I remember hearing from so many parents and their children or the students themselves saying that they were anxious to return if they did not have the vaccine, or what it would be like and how would the rapid testing work. And there was a massive anxiety when usually, return to school is a time for joy and celebration and excitement. Here it was a lot of anxiety, as you aptly put. Can you share with us how tangible that anxiety was, and in your experience, how was it for students and faculty? I don't want to ignore the faculty, of course.
Well, interestingly enough, I think my students were pretty happy to get back. At least that's what they said, and I have no reason to doubt them. Among my colleagues, I'm not so sure. I suppose if you're afraid, which seems to be the main purpose of both the government and the university's instructions, then you have a lot of anxieties about coming back onto in this case, the seventh floor of the social science building. And during the whole time, there were, let's say there are 20 some odd people in the department. I only ran into, on a regular basis, 2 or 3. And that said to me that the rest of these people have either adjusted, they'd rather work at home, work on Zoom, or they're just, scared. And I have no idea which, but it's certainly no way to run a university, and it certainly also destroyed whatever integrity the political science department had.
Well, and it's interesting, again, I've spoken to so many professors and medical experts in this field and researchers, but I haven't spoken to a political science professor on their observation. And I studied political science at university, and it's a very interesting discipline. And so you get to kind of step back and see the politics in all of this. And there's been a lot of complaints that there was an over-politicization of this virus and the response to it. Would that be a fair assessment, that there's been a lot of politics in dealing with COVID?
Yeah, and it's the worst kind of politics. It's bureaucratic politics. One of the reasons why these medical bureaucrats did not look at the alternative explanations and the evidence that contradicted their positions was that they did not want to discuss a lot of things. They simply wanted people to obey. That's not sort of normal politics, and it certainly is something that a lot of people in this university found really very unpleasant.
We're going to come to commercial break, but I think, we really have to discuss, what state does this leave our higher learning institutions in? How does this leave our universities and our colleges? We're going to continue this discussion in just a few moments.